Jaya Radha.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Mahaprakash Leela? Tell me what you know about it. Okay. Okay. You know what the word Maha means, right? Maha, the first word, Maha, means big, right? There's Mahaprashadam, but there's Maha means big. And or great. And then Prakash, you know, the word Leela, what's Leela mean? Pastime, right. Prakash means to manifest. Like, you know, there's a state where everything is unmanifest. And then there's matter becomes manifest. Prakash. Right? So it's his Lord Chaitanya performed a pastime, which we're going to hear about. Leela. Okay. Because tomorrow is Gaur Purnima, and we don't want to stay up till tomorrow morning. There's a lot in this presentation. It's gonna. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it. This morning, yesterday it was 93 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. And Shatrupa said, the temperature's dropping up here. So it's a little different. And also this morning, 4:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, there was a 2-hour class with the Chinese devotees, and we didn't finish. In the same topic, only English, Chinese. It took twice as long. And I learned from the Chinese devotees, one of the devotees they ask these very interesting questions. The Purnima tomorrow is their Purnima tomorrow, but this morning was Gaur Purnima in Phoenix. But somewhere in the mountain range, it changed. The moon changed positions, and so in China, the coloration of the moon turns reddish. Check the sky tomorrow. So they call it that particular. Significance. Nandi is going to check it out. He's good at researching things, and the China and Lord Chaitanya is there. Lord Chaitanya in China. He's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sachi Mata was his mother, and he was young boy. He was given the name Vishvambar, and his elder brother, slightly elder, was Vishwarup. Vishvambar and Vishwarup. And during his childhood, listen carefully because you're going to hear the name again shortly. His father had a close friend named Gangadas Pandit. They're all Pandits, Brahmanas. Gangadas Pandit was excellent in Vyakarana, in Sanskrit grammar. So Jagannath Mishra requested Gangadas Pandit to be my son's teacher. And he agreed. And so Gangadas Pandit was a very important person in the early childhood of Nimai Pandit. He was called Nimai as a nickname because he was born under a neem tree as an indication that he should be protected because 6 other children died shortly after they were born. And he survived, so let him be protected by the neem tree. So he became a Sanskrit teacher, or particularly a Vyakarana or grammar teacher, because the beginning entrance into the Vedas is to know Sanskrit. The beginning entrance to learn Sanskrit is grammar. So he was a grammar teacher. And he was good. So good going. Somehow you were sitting in the hot seat and you came out with the right words. Ishwara Puri. So Ishwara Puri was like the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri was Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was also a Paramahansa, which meant he not only traveled Paribrajakacharya, so Ishwara Puri was a traveler. He didn't stay in one place. And he came one time to this place of higher learning, which was Navadvip, and Lord Chaitanya met him, or Nimai Pandit met him, and invited him to have a meal at the house of Jagannath Mishra and Mother Sachi. So he obliged that request, and he became very attracted to the wonderful qualities of Nimai Pandit, and vice versa. So later, after his father died, Nimai Pandit was going to do what young boys do when for the ritual for their departed family member or relative. They went up on a mountain place called Gaya. There he saw the lotus feet of Vishnu, because there's a impression in the ground, and he went to do that ritual. And when he was there, he again for the second time met Ishwara Puri, and he received mantra diksha from Ishwara Puri. And when he came back down to Navadvip with all of his students, something changed. He had lost interest in grammar and trying to understand the Vedas by technical proper understanding or translation of the grammar of the Sanskrit texts. He lost that fascination. He was still, so in other words, he already had exhibited he was a super scholar without all the details of the past times that indicated this. But now, beyond scholarship, he had become a devotee. And when he became a devotee, he started a liking for the chanting of the holy name. And because he was a leader, or he was the supreme personality of Godhead, it became a very popular thing. However, there was some opposition. There's always opposition, right? So the local Muslim leaders, they didn't like. And even more than the local Muslim leaders was those who had vested interests in something else, in yagya and worship of the devas and devis and so forth. We'll hear some more about that as we go forward. And so it was kind of private, more than kind of private, it was private. The kirtan was in the evening hours at the house of Srivas Pandit. So the house of Srivas Pandit wasn't like a suburban house in Naperville. Those of you that may have been to Mayapur, it's one of those, there was a boundary wall surrounding the property. In the back was the residential quarters for him and his brothers and his uncles, and it was like the extended family kind of living arrangement. It wasn't just him and his children. And there was a place of worship called mandap, kind of like an open air canopy kind of situation. And then on one end was the altar. And in that area in front of the altar, under the mandap, is where they had kirtan. But it was by invitation only, because there were envious people, and the envious people were saying different things and doing different things, and we'll leave all that stuff. But they would try to frame Srivas as if he was, a madman and a drunkard, without all the details. So what did Srivas do? He went outside the gate and said, "Everybody look, wine, alcohol. I'm a worshiper of goddess Chandi. Everyone can see." So that it didn't work. Because people said, "Who has done this? Who has done this terrible thing? They're going to fall into hell for offending a great devotee like you." Sometimes when accusations are made, that's a good move, especially if you have spotless character like Srivas. So every day. By this time, when Lord Chaitanya began his Sankirtan activities, Nityananda came. And there was the union of Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya for the first time after so many years of Nityananda being on a pilgrimage. And then he knew, the omniscient Nityananda came to Mayapur, and the two, Nityananda and Chaitanya, Gaura Nitai, were together. So one fine day, he decided to reveal his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because prior to that, he was a teacher, and then he was a devotee, but not the Personality of Godhead. So this Mahaprakash Leela, as you see, there's the place where it's described particularly, it's not in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Here's the reason. Chaitanya Bhagavat was written before Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when Krishnadas Kaviraj was writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, he didn't want to duplicate and look as if he was superseding a prior Acharya, Vrindavan Das Thakur. So he mentioned and touched on some of the topics, but this topic is expanded at length in other pastime before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Navadvip, that is, from the prior to his sannyas. There's details and details and details that are just fantastic. And this is a fantastic section where Lord Chaitanya is revealing his divinity. And just a little appreciation. Vrindavan Das Thakur's style and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's style are very different. Krishnadas Kaviraj's style is almost like Sanskrit. I've from conversations with Bengali devotees, it's hard to translate because it's really high Bengali. I mean, like Bhaktisiddhanta's English is beyond high. But, in other words, he was a very erudite and articulate and scholarly person. Krishnadas Kaviraj, a perfect person for his biography, principal biography. Before that, Vrindavan Das Thakur was not like a casual, but he didn't justify and explain and give references to things. He was more of the Rasika stage and didn't attempt to justify. He's just reciting what he knew in a very joyful mood. That's Vrindavan Das Thakur. So this pastime is known as Shata Prahariya Bhava, that you see down below. What's a prahara? It's 3 hours, or so many dandas. And 7 praharas is 21 hours. So it's a pastime that took 21 hours. For 21 hours, you see in the painting on the left, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat on the throne, and in the audience there you see Lord Brahma. Behind Lord Brahma, you see Narada Muni, and next to Narada Muni is Lord Shiva, and these great personalities were participants also, but the principal associates of Mahaprabhu were the main ones mentioned. On the left side, Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. On the other side is Gadadhar Pandit. So these personalities were participants in this wonderful Leela, where for 21 hours Lord Chaitanya was displaying his divinity, Prakash. This young fellow. Remember the word Prakash? Means manifest, right? Display, show to the world. Prakash. Prakash. Like the sun gives light, that's Prakash. There's the sun and the sunlight. So one day Mahaprabhu came with Nityananda to the house of Srivas, same usual, they're going to have kirtan. But everyone saw that his mood was unique, unlike the other evenings. And so they began kirtan very jubilantly, especially jubilantly. And kirtan, kirtan, kirtan. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who previously was concealing his mood as a devotee, he stopped that mood. He took the mood of Lord Vishnu. He sat on the altar, on the throne of Vishnu, And for 21 hours straight, nonstop, he revealed that he was personally Lord Vishnu. Now, sometimes we have deity installations or abhisheks in temples or something like that. And when there's an abhishek, there's a procedure, and they followed, the Vaishnavas, he ordered them, worship me. And so they did. And they prepared the ingredients for abhishek. Here's this nice drawing indicating 4 ingredients that they were gathered, and in the proportions that they were mixed, and they later used. But first was prepare the ingredients, and then after preparing the ingredients, they gathered water from the Ganges and poured water on his head, just like we do with the deities. They bathed him in that way, with his clothes on, just bathed him. And first was Nityananda. Following Nityananda, very scholarly Advaitacharya and Srivas, they bathed him while reciting Purusha Sukta mantras. Many of you know, or have some idea at least, what Purusha Sukta mantras are. One of the well-known applications of Purusha Sukta mantras was the demigods approached Lord Vishnu in the ocean of milk and appealed to him to come and appear and rescue earth, because the earth was overburdened with demoniac kings. And they did so by reciting Purusha Sukta. Purusha Sukta are standard mantras from Rig Veda. They're well known, and they're glorifications of Purusha, the prayers to the Supreme Person. So Advaita and Srivas, being particularly scholarly, while bathing, they're reciting Purusha Sukta. Now, some brahmanas and informal abhisheks of deities, etc., may do the same thing, while the pouring of water on the deity, chanting a Purusha Sukta mantras. And to get the water, they had clay pots, and not far from the main gate of the house of Srivas was the Ganga. So many, many, many persons went to get clay pots filled with Ganga water. And one of those persons was a maidservant of Srivas. Now, it wasn't uncommon. Srivas was an aristocratic brahmana, and he had some maidservants or ladies that would help with the cleaning of this and the sweeping of that, and this thing and that, and helping with household chores. So there was several such maidservants, and one of those was named Duki. And Duki was so enthusiastic to gather the water. When she came and brought the water, she was smiling so much. Lord Chaitanya, it says by Vrindavan Das Thakur, Lord Chaitanya took away her sadness, the Duki, and renamed her as Suki. And she was Suki. She was very happy. And after the bathing, they dressed him in new cloth, exactly as done in. That's what was going on, Abhishek, like a deity installation. Because before he was the devotee, now he's the Vishnu. Abhishek, then new cloth, fragrant sandalwood paste, all over his body, exactly as we do when we have Abhishek for deities. Lord Nityananda held an umbrella over the Lord's head. There's a significance in that. Nityananda and Balaram, both being of the same tattva, they have an expansion, and that expansion is Anantashesh. We had this interesting exploration of, is Anantashesh Vishnu tattva or Jiva tattva? If you're interested, you can ask Ganga Narayan. He knows all about it. We had this dialogue about it. And there's different things that are said. So Anantashesh has hoods, and we'll see this evening a nice photograph of what was displayed to Kolavechar Sridhar. he saw a form of the Lord with an Anantashesh over the form of Lord Vishnu. He got darshan of Lord Vishnu. And Anantashesh was the hoods of Anantashesh were the umbrella. You'll see. So Nityananda did the same. He was holding an umbrella over his head. Devotees worshipped the Lord with 16 ingredients. Here's a short list. Brahmana thread clothes, ornaments, sandalwood paste, tulsi manjaris, flowers, incense, lamps, foodstuffs. Look closely at the painting. You see the one with the ghee lamp? Who's that? Lord Brahma. And these personalities were participating and there's right behind Lord Brahma is Narada Muni again. I don't see Lord Shiva though. He's probably there somewhere. And so they're participating in this glorification of the personality of Godhead. After the arti, they fed him. So usually we have the offering of boga, and then after the boga offering is finished, we perform arti. But that's our procedure, and this is what they did. The devotees offered variety of food stuff to the Lord, which the Lord accepted. The food offered included bananas, soaked mung dal, yogurt, condensed milk, butter, milk, coconut pulp with sugar, various sweets, water camphor, and they gave him a lot, and he ate it all. The Lord began to describe the birth and activities of the devotees. So the worship of Vishnu was complete, and now Nimai Pandit still, shows him with a shaved head. He doesn't have a shaved head yet. He revealed further about his divinity. And how did he do that? He invited the devotees by name. He called them one by one to come forward, offer him obeisances, and then he disclosed some facts about them that nobody knew except themselves. So he started with the pastime, Srivas, come forward, paid obeisances. Do you remember when? And he hadn't disclosed this to anybody. But there was, Srivas Pandit, on one occasion, was attending a Bhagavat reading by Devananda Pandit. Devananda Pandit wasn't a Vaishnav. He was a Mayavadi Pandit, Mayavadi. But sometimes Mayavadis they like reading Srimad Bhagavatam too. But they have a wrong interpretation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So as he was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam and he touched on a pastime of Krishna, Srivas Thakur fell into a swoon of ecstasy, fell off his chair. He fell on the ground, rolling on the ground, crying, flailing his arms. Nobody knew what was going on. And Devananda Pandit ordered, throw him out. Thought he was like a madman. Get this man out of here. So bodily they picked him up and tossed him out of the assembly. Offense. Because of ignorance. And the result was Srivas was wounded. Spiritually, he was hurt by this mistreatment. And so he went to his home, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, omniscient, who had yet to appear, he manifested himself as a Brahmana and consoled Srivas in such a way, because of his sweetness and his transcendentalness, Srivas was pacified. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, do you remember? Of course, he remembered, but nobody else knew because he didn't tell his family and didn't tell anybody. But I was that Brahmana because I could not bear. I descended from Vaikuntha because I could not bear to see a devotee like you in such distress. So I came and pacified you. That was me. Devananda, Srivas fell on the ground unconscious because he hadn't told anybody. The next, he called Gangadas. Remember Gangadas? His Sanskrit teacher. So he said, Gangadas, do you remember when? And there was a dangerous situation that happened because Gangadas was a grahasta. He had a wife and children. And there was a time during Muslim rule that the Muslim leader was threatening to attack and harm the Vaishnavas. So Gangadas was very concerned about the safety of his parents, his family. And so he decided he would go to the Ganga and get on a boat and cross to the other side of the Ganga. But there was no boat. There was no boatman. And then suddenly, much to his surprise, from the other side of the Ganga came a boat. And the boatman was Lord Chaitanya. And he disclosed, remember, I was the boatman. And I took you and your family to safety just so you could protect your family. Gangadas hadn't told anybody. I was that boatman. He fainted. And in this way, one after the next, different associates. This is Mahaprakash after the bathing and worship. So now we're going to spend a bunch of time. You can see the number of texts from Madhya Lila chapter 9, where the pastimes of Kolavechar Sridhar are described. And Lord Chaitanya's interaction, it's really sweet. It's Vrindavan Das Thakur all the way. His style of writing, you'll see. So on the left, you see a photograph of a little marker, basically, of where the house of Kolavechar Sridhar was during the time of Mahaprabhu. It just marks the spot. It's not where he didn't live in that little place. And his name, Kolavecha, indicates his profession. His profession was he sold products from bananas. His home was in an area where there are many banana trees, like a banana tree grove. And he took bananas and banana leaves and banana flowers and banana this and bananas from the trees. That, there's a low overhead for taking from the trees. And then with that, he set up a little mat along the side of the Ganga and sold his banana products. That was his livelihood. So in one sense, he was a Vaishya. In another sense, his quality was not only a Vaishnava, but a Brahmana Vaishnava. Oh, we had the occupation of a Vaishya. So the Lord mentioned his name and said, go find him. Now, how do you go find? This is at night. There's no street lights. There's no Zippo lighters. There's no flashlight. There's no... And so Lord Chaitanya or Nimai Pandit said, just follow the course of the Ganges and listen, because you'll find him by sound, because it's some distance down the Ganges. That's where his residence is. And all night long, he chants the holy name of Krishna very loudly. Just follow the sound, you'll find him. So that's what happened. And while his followers were looking, he then began speaking the glories of Sridhar. And here is a nice little illustration. He earned his livelihood by selling banana leaves. Whatever he earned in a day, he offered half in worship of the Ganges. With the other half, he maintained his life. So half of next to nothing is next to nothing. That's what he lived on. So he was very poor. Well, here, his clothes were torn in 10 places, and his roof didn't have a straw roof, according to what Nimai said to him. He was as truthful as Maharaj Yudhisthira. He never deviated from whatever price he fixed. Now, in the West, there's no bargaining. In Bengal, it's bargaining. The seller sees who has come, and that determines the price. And then the buyer has to bargain, so it goes to a different, better price. Prabhupada is expert at it, by the way. And he would train his disciples how you can't just go to a merchant and ask what the price is. They'll see you from the West, and the price will triple. So he trained them. But because he was an honest, Brahmin-like person, whatever he fixed, that was it. And people that knew this, they didn't bargain. Except for one person. Nimai. He passed the entire night without sleep. The entire night. While loudly chanting the names of Krishna and Hari. All the atheists complained about Sridhar's loud cries. They considered him a low-class fellow who couldn't fill his stomach, and being afflicted with hunger, he stayed up all night, making loud noises, and they didn't like it. So they came, as you see in the painting. They would taunt him, and harassed him, and complained about him, and here he is. Look at his illustration. He has tears in his eyes. He was poor and ecstatic. So he was rich. Well, here, Nimai is criticizing him, teasing him. The devotees found Sridhar through his loud cries and carefully brought him before Vishwambar. So now he's at Srivas Thakur or Srivas Pandit's home, ready to take part in the Mahaprakash Leela. The Lord was pleased to see him and spoke. You have worshipped me so long. You have passed many lifetimes to obtain my love. In this life, you have also served me so much. I always eat rice off your banana leaves. The Lord daily visited Sridhar's shop and bought banana leaves and banana stems. He would daily quarrel with Sridhar for 2 hours. Now, we generally chant japa every morning. It's not that Nimai didn't chant japa, but 2 hours. We chant a lot of japa for 2 hours. 2 hours, and then buy his goods for half the price. Bargaining. Sridhar would stand up and grab hold of the goods, and tug of war would ensue. In this way, Sridhar and the Lord would shove each other. Vrindavan Das. The Lord would say, "Oh, brother Sridhar, why do you live like an ascetic when you have so much wealth? Why have you taken the goods from my hands? Don't you know yet who I am?" The most Brahminical Sridhar would not become angry after looking at the Lord's face. He gave him all the goods. Sridhar said, "Listen, O respected Brahmana, please forgive me, I am your dog." The Lord said, "I know, you are very clever. You have accumulated so much wealth by selling banana leaves. Are there no other shops?" Sridhar asked. "Go there and buy leaves cheaper." The Lord replied, "I will not give up my supplier. Take my money and give me stems and bananas." On seeing the Lord's beauty, Sridhar would become overwhelmed and smile. Then Vishwambar would speak jubilantly. He would speak harshly to him. The pendulum is swinging. It's love. And purposeful love. Intimate love. You buy ingredients that you regularly offer to the Ganges, so what is wrong if you give me a discount? Bartering language. I am the father of the Ganges, whom you regularly worship. This is the truth I am telling you. Sridhar would cover his ears with his hands and exclaim, "Vishnu, Vishnu!" Seeing the Lord so arrogant, Sridhar would then give him the leaves and stems. In this way, they both regularly quarreled with each other. Sridhar considered the Lord a most restless Brahmana. Now, he's not seeing his divinity yet, but he will. The disclosure of his divinity is because of his quality that despite this and then that and then the next thing and then the other thing, his mind didn't budge from Nimai. He was very attached to him. So he would say these other things like go somewhere else and there's other sellers, and he would say other things. But it was love. So he considered him a Brahmana who's restless and arrogant, and Sridhar thought, this Brahmana is very aggressive. I'm afraid that one day he will beat me. But even if he beats me, what can I do to a Brahmana? At the same time, I can't supply him free of charge every day. Anyway, whatever this Brahmana takes by force or deceit, that's my good fortune. So I'll continue to give him every day. Sridhar said, I'm defeated. Please leave me alone. I will give you something free. I will give you a piece of stem, a few bananas, and a few leaves. Then, am I still at fault? The Lord said, good, good. I have no more complaints. I won't fight anymore. But see that I get good quality bananas and banana stalks. The Lord then said, Sridhar, you always chant the name of Hari, so why is it you are afflicted by poverty? Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune, and she's the consort of Hari. Can you please tell me why, after serving the beloved Lord of Lakshmi, you do not get sufficient food and clothes? Sridhar, at least I'm not starving, and whether small or large, I'm still wearing some cloth. The Lord said, but I see your clothes are mended in 10 places, and the roof of your cottage has no straw. There's Durga. You see, she's carrying the trident. In the background is the Himalayas, so she's the consort of Lord Shiva. Durga, known in Bengal by different names, Chandi and Vishahari. Look at other people. They worship Chandi or Vishahari, so they have no scarcity for food or cloth. He's not budged. Here's his nice reply. Yet time passes equally for everyone, as they all enjoy the fruits of their previous activities by the will of the Lord. The Lord then said, you have great wealth that you are secretly enjoying. I will soon disclose this to everyone. Then how will you cheat us? The pendulum swings. The Lord daily used Sridhar's leaf cups, and he ate sabjis from Sridhar's plantains, banana flowers, and banana stalks. Whenever a squash grew on the roof of Sridhar's cottage, the Lord would eat it cooked with milk and black pepper. The Lord then said, tell me, what do you think of me? After you answer this, I'll go home. Sridhar gives a very nice answer. You are a Brahmana, a portion of Lord Vishnu. The Lord said, you don't know. Actually, I'm from a Gopa family. Although you see me as the son of a Brahmana, I consider myself a cowherd boy. Because he is Krishna. Sridhar smiled at the Lord's words, but due to the illusory energy, he could not recognize his Lord. So here's Lord Chaitanya displaying his form of Krishna, and by his side Balaram, and his residence in Vrindavan as a cowherd boy. When the exalted Sridhar raised his head, he saw that Vishrambar was blackish like a tamal tree. He held an enchanting flute in his hand, and Balaram stood at his right side. Sridhar saw the entire place was filled with the bright effulgence. And I've looked at this painting many, many times. It looks like steps, but it's like, and it's a mural painted on the side of a wall or something like that. But it's a vision that he had. You see, in front of him, there's some offerings to Lord Chaitanya, and with bananas on the plates, but he's making offerings to the personality of Godhead with folded palms. He then saw Goddess Lakshmi offering betel nuts into the hand of the Lord, and the 4-headed Brahma and 5-headed Shiva offering prayers to the Lord. He saw Ananta holding his 1,000 hoods as an umbrella over the head of the Lord, and Sanaka, Sanaka, Narada, and Shukadev chanting the glories of the Lord. From one scene to the next scene, on seeing this, Sridhar was struck with wonder and he fell to the ground. Mahaprakash. Now you know the meaning, right? Mahaprakash. The Lord asked him to offer him prayers. So he's listened to these prayers. Oh, glory. See, he went from not knowing who he was to knowing who he was. Oh, glories to Mahaprabhu. Oh, glories to Vishwambar. Oh, glories to the Lord of Navadvip, he who was born from the womb of the pious mother Sachi, who is unknown to the Vedas, who assumes various forms in every age to protect religious principles, who is known, who can know you, who can know you unless you reveal yourself. You are Dharma, Karma, Bhakti, and Gyan. You are the scriptures, Vedas, and you are the object of all meditation. You are the mystic perfections. You are prosperity and joy. He's just a simple banana leaf seller. But all this has been revealed to him because of his steadfast devotion. Lord Chaitanya says at the end, you are the mystic perfections. You are prosperity, enjoyment, and yoga. You are faith, compassion, illusion, and greed. You are Indra. You are Chandra. You are Agni. You are Varuna. You are Surya. You are Vayu. You are wealth and strength. You know, opulences of the absolute, right? Bhagavad Gita. You are devotional service. You are liberation. The water of the Ganges has emanated from your feet. Before he was thinking Vishnu, Vishnu. But now he's realizing, my sinful heart didn't recognize you, nor did I understand the glories of your invaluable lotus feet. It was through devotional service that Bhishma conquered you on the battlefield, and it was through devotional service that Yashoda bound you. It was through devotional service that Satyabhama scolded you. Being controlled by devotional service, you carried a cowherd damsel of Braja on your shoulders. You personally carried the cowherd boy Sridham. You are conquered by devotional service, therefore it is most confidential. Ordinary people do not understand this. After hearing Sridhar's transcendental prayers, all the exalted Vaishnavas were struck with wonder. So apparently these prayers and the whole scene was revealed in front of everybody at the Mahaprakash Leela. The Lord repeatedly asked Sridhar to request a benediction. Sridhar then asked, let that Brahmana who forcibly took away my banana leaves be my Lord birth after birth. Another teaching of Mama Janmani Janmanishware, another teaching of Bhakti, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't want liberation, birth after birth. Let me always engage in the service of the lotus feet of that Brahman who constantly quarreled with me. Vishwambar smiled and said, listen, Sridhar, I want to make you the king of a great kingdom. As if he's enticing him. Sridhar replied, I do not want anything. Make such an arrangement, O Lord, that I may chant your names. The Lord said, O Sridhar, you are my servant. That is why you're able to see my opulences. That is why your mind does not deviate from me. Thus, I'm giving you devotional service that is confidential to the Vedas. And the Palastuti at the end, anyone who hears the prayers of Sridhar and the benediction he received from the Lord will obtain the wealth of prema, or love of Godhead. So Prabhus, get ready. It may take a little while, but the word has been spoken by such an exalted Brahmana. So next, this morning, this is as far as we got, just hearing the story of Sridhar. But that's not the end of the Mahaprakash Leela. So next, he called forward Murari Gupta. Who's Murari Gupta? Murari Gupta. Of our youngsters, you know who is Murari Gupta? Yeah. What books are you reading? Where'd you read that one? You heard from your mom or something? Okay. But he was Murari Gupta was a great devotee of Ramachandra, as is Hanuman, a great devotee of Ramachandra. And at the same time, he was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So there's a very nice pastime, not Mahaprakash Leela, but he and Nityananda had called him to come to his home. Their homes were not so far apart. Murari Gupta was a physician by occupation. So Lord Chaitanya would have him come sometime because he had a cold, or he administers some medicine and cure his disease, the illness. So one time when he came, he said, Murari, chant Krishna's name incessantly, knowing he couldn't. So he went back home. Because he's a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, he tried, and he came back the next morning crying and crying, please change your instruction. Give me a different instruction. Tell me to always chant that Ram's name. Lord Chaitanya said, I was just testing you. I know your devotion. You can't give up the lotus feet of Lord Ramchandra for anything. So here's a pastime where Nimai Pandit at Mahaprakash Leela is going to reveal all of this publicly, right in front of everybody, Murari Gupta's position. The Lord ordered Murari, behold my form. And Murari saw the Lord as Ramachandra, dark like fresh grass. He saw Sita and Lakshmana on the Lord's left and right side. The leaders of the monkeys were offering prayers in the four directions. Murari realized that he was also one of the monkeys. Having imagined that realization, Vishvambara exclaimed, "Oh, monkey, you forgot how Ravana, who stole Sita, burned you and your face. You burned his entire city and subdued his dynasty. I tell you, I am that Lord. Oh, Murari, get up, get up. You are my life. I am that Ramachandra, and you are Hanuman." There's nice painting, huh? See your life and soul, the son of Sumitra. You brought Ganda Madana hill to revive his life. The distress of Sita made you cry profusely. Vishvambara again said to Murari, ask for a benediction, any benediction you desire. Murari replied, I do not want anything, simply allow me to sing your glories. O Lord, I may take birth anywhere, but wherever I take birth, Let me always remember you. Let me reside in the association of your servants, birth after birth. O Lord, do not put me in a condition in which you are not my master and I am not your servant. May I remain your servant wherever you are, and your associates incarnate. The Lord granted the benediction. Now there's Murari paying his obeisances in front of everybody, and Lord Chaitanya seated on his throne of Vishnu. The Lord awarded this benediction to Murari and declared that anyone who blasphemes Murari will not be delivered even if he takes millions of baths in the Ganges and chants the holy name of Hari. The Lord revealed the meaning of the name Murari Gupta. Lord Murari, that's Krishna, the enemy of the Mura demon, resides in his heart, Gupte, or secretly. Then he called Haridas Thakur. And according to Vrindavan Das Thakur, Haridas Thakur, of course it's other places confirmed, a combination of Lord Brahma and Prahlad. The Lord then mercifully called Haridas and said, "You are more dear to me than my own body. I certainly belong to the same caste as you." There's no caste. That's the same caste. The Transcendentalists don't have a caste. Listen, Haridas, when the Yavanas beat you in the various villages, I saw your distress and descended from Vaikuntha with the disc in my hand in order to cut everyone to pieces. When you desired their benefit, I was unable to use my power against them. My disc became powerless because of you. Due to your resolve, I could not sever their heads. When I saw how severely they were beating you, I covered your back. Then I took the beating on my own body. Here are the marks. I am not speaking. So he lifted his kurta and showed, I'm not speaking a lie. See all these beating marks. Haridas saw the beating marks and he fainted because he wasn't feeling any pain. And why am I not feeling any pain? That the Lord was taking the beatings. On hearing, Haridas immediately fell unconscious to the ground. Mahaprabhu then helped him regain his external consciousness and ordered him to see his Mahaprakash pastimes. With great humility, Haridas offered prayers to Mahaprabhu. Please be merciful to this sinful person. I fall at your feet. I have no good qualities. I am fallen outcast. How can I possibly describe your glories? If one sees me, he becomes sinful. If one touches me, he should take bath. Haridas then cited the example of Draupadi, Prahlad, Yudhisthira, and Ajamila to establish the Lord's affection for his surrendered devotees. Haridas folded his hands and said, although I am less fortunate, I have a great desire. My life is sinful because I am devoid of remembrance of you. Please, make my life successful by allowing me to eat the remnants of your servants. Kindly keep me in the house of a devotee as a dog. Haridas became filled with love and devotion for the Lord. The Lord said, listen, my dear Haridas, anyone who resides with you for even a day or speak with you for even a moment will certainly achieve me. There's no doubt about it. Notice the painting. There's the dome of the Jagannath temple in the background. And he's seated under a tree because he wouldn't go near the temple. Anyone who hears the prayers of Haridas and the benediction he received will certainly obtain the treasure of Krishna Prema. There's two benedictions. Vrindavan Das Thakur is very liberal. He's very happy to give Krishna Prema to anyone who hears the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Then another Mahaprakash pastime, this time with Advaita Charya. He brought Advaita Charya forward and then reminded Advaita Charya of a very special, unique, confidential, no one else knew about it, set of pastimes. The Lord said, you taught every verse of Bhagavad Gita in relation to devotional service. If you did not find the devotional meaning of a verse, you would give up all enjoyment, like fasting, rather than find fault with the verse. Once you went to sleep without eating. I then manifested myself before you in a dream and gave the real meaning of the verse. I cannot tolerate your slightest distress. Therefore I appeared in your dream and spoke to you. In this way, whenever some doubt arose during his recitation, the Lord would directly speak to him in his dream. The Lord reminded Advaita about all those dreams, days, moments, and verses. The Lord said, although I explained all these verses, I did not explain one, which I will now explain to you. This is in this public assembly in Srivas Thakur's courtyard, or in front of that altar of Vishnu. According to their respective sampradayas, people give wrong interpretations. The actual reading of the verse is not sarvatak panipadang tat. And that's the verses we find in our Bhagavad Gita, sarvatak panipadam tat. Today I will tell you, without any pretension, the actual reading of the verse is sarvatra pani padam tat. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes and heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Acharya Gosai understood all of Lord Chaitanya's confidential explanations. In case you didn't, Bhaktisiddhanta is going to help. The impersonalists maintained the reading sarvata, or from everything, while superficially accepting the meaning as sarvatra, or everywhere. The personalists accept the form of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalists propound the theory that this material world is false, and they do not accept the hands, legs, ears, eyes, head, and face of the Supreme Lord are eternal. They think of them as material, that made of Maya, therefore Mayavadi. Lord Vishvambhara raised his arms and said, everyone, look at me and ask for any benediction you desire. Hearing the Lord's words, everyone became jubilant and asked for a benediction according to their desire. Advaita said, O Lord, my desire is that you bestow mercy on the foolish, wretched, and fallen persons, which is what Prahlad Maharaj said in his prayers. Same. And same as he did when he appealed for Lord Vishnu to descend, and he did. The Lord smiled and gave benedictions to everyone. One more pastime, and I think we'll end, although it's not done yet. This Mahaprakash Leela is fantastic. So, in the assembly, in the house of Srivas, was Mukunda. And Mukunda was a great singer and devotee of Lord Chaitanya. But Mukunda was sitting behind a curtain. He had no power to come before the Lord. Not just shy, he was kind of like, he felt, I must have offended the Supreme Lord. No one could understand why he was being punished. The Lord did not call him. Srivas asked the Lord, how has Mukunda offended you? If he has actually committed an offense, then punish him. But why should you neglect your servant? The Lord replied, don't ever speak to me on that fellow's behalf. Why? Wherever this fellow goes, he mingles with the persons there and speaks like one of them. So there's the painting is the Mahaprakash Leela. One by one, devotees are coming forward, and he's disclosing things about them. When he studies Yoga Vashishta in Advaita's association, he takes a straw in his teeth and sings and dances in a devotional mood. There's an example where one of the servants of Advaita Acharya was chastised by Lord Chaitanya, saying, I don't want to see you ever again. You're an offender. And the devotee was like, what did I do? And this is very severe. And so he went, when later Advaita Acharya came to Puri, he disclosed what happened. And Advaita Acharya said, you fool, you're so fortunate. I had to say this Yoga Vashishta business. That's impersonalism. Just to get Lord Chaitanya angry at me because he'd always honor me and praise me. And so I said this other stuff. So he would chastise me. And you did it. You got it without having to do such things. How fortunate are you? When he mingles with another sampradaya, meaning Mayavadi, he constantly beats me with a stick by not accepting devotional service. He has committed an offense against devotional service, therefore he cannot see me. Mukunda heard everything from outside. He heard that he would not get the Lord's darshan. The exalted Vaishnava Mukunda thought, there's no need to continue my life. Mukunda requested Srivas Thakur to ask the Lord when he'll be able to see him. The Lord said, after millions of births, he will certainly get my darshan. Mukunda started dancing. As soon as Mukunda heard from the Lord that he would certainly attain him, he became immersed in spiritual happiness. And seeing Mukunda, the Lord smiled and ordered, bring Mukunda at once. The Lord said, oh Mukunda, you are freed from your offenses. Come see me and take my mercy. The faults of your bad association are vanquished. I have been defeated by you. Because of his enthusiasm, unbridled enthusiasm to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Bhaktisiddhanta explains in his commentary from Chaitanya Bhagavat, according to the degree of your offense, I ascertained that your reinstatement in devotional service would take millions of births. Due to your intense eagerness for devotional service, you have surpassed the time determined by me. In a moment, my potency is defeated by your potency. No, Lolyam, the teaching of Rupa Goswami. Intense eagerness or greed to attain the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya continued, you are my singer, and you always reside with me. I was joking with you because you were a proper candidate. If you actually committed millions of offenses, they wouldn't be considered offenses because you are so dear to me. You are my servant, and your body is filled with devotional service. I constantly reside on your tongue because he was a singer. Mukunda gave examples of Duryodhana, Shishupal, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. They all saw Krishna's form, but they did not attain happiness because of devotional service. Mukunda, your devotional service is very pleasing to me. I personally manifest wherever you sing. You are my eternal companion, and you always sing for me. Wherever I incarnate, you will appear as my associate to sing the glories of Hari. Thereafter, the Lord gave his garland and betel remnants to everyone. And guess what? The Mahaprakash Leela continues. And guess what? We're not going to continue. Tomorrow morning. We can do it tomorrow morning. Yeah. Tomorrow morning. Continued. To be continued tomorrow morning. So Chaitanya Bhagavat, I'll just repeat something. The style is certainly, as you can see, different from the style of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the details of the pastimes while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still in Navadvip before he accepted sannyas is because Vrindavan Das had access to those things, those details. And Krishnadas Kaviraj didn't. And he didn't want to duplicate. But Krishnadas Kaviraj had access to Raghunath Das Goswami and the person who was giving guidance and training and spiritual care to Raghunath Das Goswami. And so he had the diaries of Murari Gupta's diaries were in the hands. Murari Gupta's diaries were in the hands of Vrindavan Das. So he knew many things that others didn't know. And the diaries of the devotees in Puri were transferred by Raghunath Das Goswami to Krishnadas Kaviraj, who had those diaries. And all of the association for years of hearing Raghunath Das narrate what he knew of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Therefore, the concluding pastimes are replete, and they're scant in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So they're good companions. But Prabhupada didn't translate Chaitanya Bhagavat. He translated, the epic, wonderful composition, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we'll hear some more from Chaitanya Bhagavat tomorrow morning. And the evening we'll introduce the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and all those nice things. This is Naperville. It's the land of many questions. Any comments or questions? Yes, all the way in the back.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you for such a wonderful class. Maharaj, I have recently started reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I haven't gotten to the part of Mahaprakash Leela, but I'm trying to understand.
It's not in Chaitanya. You reading Chaitanya Bhagavat or Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Charitamrita.
Yeah. It's not. It's not like this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Okay, Maharaj, I'm trying to understand when Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears, he appears in the mood of a devotee. So I'm trying to understand the mood of Mahaprakash Leela.
Careful. Speak your words carefully. He appeared as a devotee. Yes, he appeared as a devotee of Krishna. Yes. No, go ahead. I interrupted. Go ahead.
So I'm trying to understand if he appears a devotee, and I've heard that he didn't like when people referred to him as a Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
And
but look what he did in Chaitanya Bhagavat. He broke the rule, didn't he? It's a mood. He's entitled. Do you have different moods? Mm-hmm. He has different moods. It's a unique one. When it was over, he closed the window. But it was a very special pastime for intimate devotees. It wasn't everybody. And it was everybody, so he was particular with everybody. You understand?
Yes, Mark.
Okay. You want to pursue it further?
Yes, Maharaj, I have a second question.
Okay.
So, just like I've heard from lectures that Yashodanandan Krishna, he appears once in the day of Brahma, and just like Yashodanandan Krishna, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appears in the day of Brahma, like once in
Not
the day
only
of
the
Brahma.
day of, the very next yuga, in the same yuga cycle, he appears. Right after. Same 27th yuga cycle of Vaivasvata Manu. Right after Krishna appears and disappears, Mahaprabhu appears. It's clear?
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj, the pastime, I wanted to go to the pastime of Kulavecha Sridhar.
Okay.
And that's, to me, that is, probably one of the sweetest pastimes in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One thing that I find that the simplicity of Kulavecha Sridhar, even though he didn't understand the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he had this haggling Brahmana, right? But he wasn't like, how dare you do it? You're not living up to the qualities of a Brahmana. Like, he wasn't interacting with, even he was respecting, going back to the theme that we had in your previous visit here. He was respecting the Brahmana in the position of a Brahmana.
Yes.
In spite of
behavior that was
all the haggling, all the qualities that was contrary to a Brahmana. And the simplicity of Kulavecha Sridhar's heart is being so very clearly being displayed by Vrindavan Das Thakur.
You got it.
In this pastime is so amazing.
You captured
I just wanted to
you captured it. And Nimai said, it's because of that fixed devotion that you have for me, I have revealed my opulences to you, and labeled him also to speak those opulences. I mean, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and others that revealed many things because he empowered them to understand many things that others couldn't understand. I mean, he gave instructions, but he also gave the capacity to understand even things he didn't explain and to write books on those things. So, I mean, mercy is essential. And having the quality to be able to receive that mercy, equally essential. Nice. There's important lessons for us in these leelas. There's one of them. Easier said than done, but there's a capacity to be unshaken. Even in in Bhagavad Gita, even the greatest danger, difficulty. Just this morning, along with everything else that was going on, I got this distress message from someone. I won't say who and where they are. And, everything is upside down. And they're being shaken by their ankles upside down. And then this and that and the other thing and the other thing. And, in the Middle East war, they're stranded where they are without all the details. And like, so it happens. And then it's according to the teachings of Bhaktisiddhanta, it's an opportunity for those who are very special devotees to undergo the fire of ordeal, and the circumstances are ordeals. And when their unflinching position of bhakti, despite the ordeals, you may not have a solution, whatever, but you're steadfast in your devotion. Then that person is eligible for a big downpour of mercy. It's not like Krishna can't do that otherwise, but if there's somebody help them become squeaky clean. The ordeal is a nice way to do it. It's an option that he has. And sometimes we have experienced, probably everyone in the room at least once, if not 10 times, had experienced the fire of ordeal. And then what do? Where's your shelter? I mean, along this topic that we discussed in the car ride, another conversation in Phoenix, a family that I've known for, 20 years. Their daughter is just about to go to college. And the mother is very motherly protective. And the daughter is smiling. She wants to go out of state. And her mother is like, and I'm not saying any name, but it's just a classic, she's only chanting 2 rounds a day. What's her shelter? And the little girl is smiling, and she's mother's being mother, and I want to go out of town, and I want to be out of the nest, and some don't, some are the other way, and some are the other way. So but there has to be shelter, because otherwise it's a dangerous place, not just for a young girl. It's a dangerous place. If without shelter, it's a dangerous place. So make sure we have shelter, and then when there's ordeal, like, when she goes away to college, wherever that's going to be, count on it. Some ordeal will come. And then what's going to happen? Depends on if there's shelter or not, and the degree to which there's shelter or not. And that's life. So learn by devotion or learn the hard way. I'd rather learn by devotion. But sometimes we have to learn the hard way. So, yeah, fixed. Despite behavior that wasn't at all Brahminical, but he maintained the respect towards one who's a Brahmana. So tell me what you think of me. You're an exalted Brahmana, the son of Mother Sachi. No, I'm a cowherd boy. You don't know. I'll reveal it to you. Okay. Yes.
Maharaj. Maharaj, I was wondering about basically all the pastimes, and one common point which I saw in all the devotees was when they were offering prayers, they were calling themselves sinful, or basically they were feeling very helpless. And for instance, if you see Haridas Thakur, he says that I am the most sinful.
Well, that's Haridas, yeah.
So Maharaj, we all know that these devotees are exalted, and out of humility they say this, but why this contradiction?
It's not contradiction. Wake up. Excuse me. When, for a starting point, without humility, who's going to serve? Who's going to take shelter and surrender? Mami kam sharanam. Who's going to do that? For starters, in the beginning stage, without humility, it's not going to happen. Supposing one becomes an elevated devotee, what happens to humility? Well, if you become proud of your achievements in bhakti, humility takes the back seat or goes some other place, and one becomes proud instead from success in bhakti. But those that don't have that mistake or error, the humility grows and it grows and it grows, and it's not just Haridas, it's all elevated Vaishnavas, as you pointed out. That humility is extreme, corresponding with their elevated position. Thus, I'm more dependent, I'm needing, doesn't mean that they become crippled, they just become more dependent upon the mercy of the Supreme. They become better vessels for the mercy of the Supreme. doesn't mean they become complacent or self, destructive. Okay,
Yes, Maharaj.
it's part of the ecstasy. When Prahlad, we just discovered this in Phoenix. Prahlad speak like this, and it's very. And our acharyas say he doesn't have those qualities, but he's thinking of himself in that way because of his prema. It's a symptom of prema. It's not cosmetic. The person would say that cosmetically when in fact we know they're proud. It smells bad. There's a bad odor to it. But when it's genuine, you feel it. It's genuine. So we're not there yet. You and I aren't there yet. That's okay. Don't think it's a contradiction. It's part of their elevation. Those that are genuine, it's part of their elevatedness. Abject humility and highest stages of bhakti simultaneously. Lower than the worm of stool. More sinful than Jaghai and Madhai. It's not cute. It's how they feel.
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, I just had a follow-up to that.
Okay, you're going to practice it, right? Go ahead.
So you said that's the extreme humility they have. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. But in our case, let's say in our case, if we like read something, if we learn something new in bhakti and we are chanting and we notice that it's leading us towards pride or we are getting that. So what's the remedy to that?
Like cars have those signals, when you're starting to head off the road or get too close to the car in front of you or something. The signal should go on. Then the signal is super soul's tapping you and saying, don't go there. And if you're connected, if you're wanting to be connected, super soul will give that signal sufficiently loud and clear that you comply. Now, supposing somebody isn't quite tuned in to super soul, or they want become a spiritual master one day, and it's like you get all these people saying all these things. I need appreciation. I'm feeling lonely. Like can't get no satisfaction. I said I heard that from the Rolling Stones long ago, but you're a sincere Vaishnava. Come on, get with it. But they're going through those emotions, and so they need some transcendental hand and voice and shelter and a reminder. So Super Soul is giving, but then they may need someone besides Super Soul giving, like good association and a spiritual master, and here's some prayers you might want to recite, and something. This devotee that was upside down and being shaken this morning at 5:30 this morning, 6:30 this morning. I called them, and then we spoke briefly. Actually, I just sent a voicemail, and they said, "Thanks for just hearing your voice. I feel better now. Now I know what to do. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm clear." The clouds parted and the sunshine came through, and the darkness and the storm was past. It doesn't happen so quickly, but there was a need. And the point that they understood is yes, Krishna's giving me an opportunity through this ordeal to stand by him and find his shelter and stay there and be a positive influence on these forces that are yucky. At least let me be a light in this darkness as a representative of Krishna, a Vaishnava. Let me be truthful to my spiritual master and to Krishna. That was their conclusion. That they felt relieved. Simple. Okay. Someone else. This is Naperville. All right.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for coming back to us a day before Gaur Purnima.
Day before. And I traveled on the day it was Gaur Purnima in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It prepares our heart to enter this festival after hearing this beautiful pastime. Just
more tomorrow morning. We'll
thank
see
you
tomorrow
so
morning
much.
too.
And it's just a comment, Guru Maharaj, because your last visit was on the theme of Vaishnava etiquette, and that's a deep meditation and an area of growth for me. And it's amazing how these lessons of Vaishnava etiquette are sprinkled throughout. And today specifically, when you mentioned how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami didn't want to supersede or duplicate what Vrindavan Das Thakur had already written, such refinement, such nuances to etiquette. You know, there's the externals, and then you keep dropping down in these devotees. You see these levels and layers of refinement that are they're so sensitive to the needs and how things impact others.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
We're so gross.
Yes.
So coarse. We don't, and because, not knowing, not thinking, people feel hurt. And then there's what happens after that. That you feel, what's wrong with these people? I didn't say anything, do anything, and all I was doing is speaking the truth, and etc. Anyway, the justification for, and that blocks or bars one from the subtle features that you say, nuance. The subtle, tender, sweet affectations of bhakti. Like when, oh when. So keep practicing. You have something? Who has the microphone? You have the microphone. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I actually had 2 questions, if that's okay.
Okay, we'll just give you the last 2 questions.
So my first question, I was reminded of it when Kapil Prabhu asked his question. So I noticed that when you're like, I don't read much, but I noticed that when I'm reading something, then I notice that it can be easy to feel pride, to let pride take over, because then you're like, oh, now I know this, but I didn't know, but now I know this. So what I think in my head, I don't know if this is even right. What I do in my head is I think reading is also like devotional service, and there are different kinds of devotional service.
That's right.
So like me reading something, it's not different from like someone cooking or like washing a pot. Cooking at the temple, washing a pot at the temple.
From Krishna's point of view, yes.
Yeah. So that's like...
That's
okay.
right.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
I want to add. You're going to go to the second question?
No, Maharaj, please add.
You ready for the second question?
Yes.
Okay, I want to go to the first question. I happen to like very much and encourage others to also take the opportunity to hear Radhika Raman's class on churning the topics of Shastra, because he has a very wonderful way of describing how to avoid this pride thing and, cherry picking so that next time I have to speak, I know something more than I knew yesterday, and the kind of entrepreneurial relationship with Scripture. And that's because that's the education model that we've grown up in. It's easy. And then pride follows that easily. So is there a substitute? Yes. So I invite you to listen and then listen again and listen a third time to his nice seminar on churning the topics of the Shastra. It's in short, one of his primary recommendations is this one. Rather than gathering something and then feeling I've got something, and that's our education system, try to switch the mode or the manner of receptivity. There's a speaker. And behind the speaker, there's other speakers. And that speaker and the other speakers behind them, they want to give me something. The author or speaker wants to give something. What's that something they want to give? It's in the mood of receiving and rather than the mood of collecting. And then when you have that mood, then one of the things that will happen is pride is diminished, but you'll hear things that you wouldn't hear otherwise because you heard with that kind of receptivity. And it takes practice, like anything takes practice. To cook takes practice. To do anything takes practice. With practice, it just then becomes a way of hearing and reading that changes your approach to life and your way of experiencing relationships and experiencing life. What to speak of Scripture and the relationship that you have with Scripture and those that are like the comment that Sri Radhika just gave. We one of the things he says, we get a chance to eavesdrop. Radhika Raman's phrase. He said it 3 times. Eavesdrop on these great personalities, even in different generations. They're conversing with one another. And we get to eavesdrop on those conversations. And what's our qualification? Zip. But they're very merciful. And so by their manifest mercy, we're able to, and then, so that the mood is receiving. What is it they wish to give? And with that question, then there's an experience that's different than the gathering of information kind of experience that our modern education is like. It's very mercantile mentality. Your second question.
So, when devotees say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, they come to give us love of Krishna, love of Godhead. So, normally in language, when someone says something like, a stepmother tries to give you the love of a mother, that could mean that she's trying to give you the love a mom would have towards the child.
Right.
And so when it's said that they're giving you Krishna prema, could it also mean that they're not only giving you the ability to feel love towards Krishna, but also the love Krishna has towards us?
Well, elevated souls can put 2 and 2 together and get 4. And some other persons that aren't so elevated, they come up with 6 or some other number. But yeah, simple math is yes. One implies the other. You don't get one without the other. You don't get the other without the one. It's a package. The bhakti is reciprocal. It's important teaching. It's important realization. And advancement in Krishna consciousness is exactly that. To recognize and realize. Transcendence is a relationship. Like chanting and everything else that we do, reading and everything else that we do. That's too bad. Look at the time. Okay, We'll take one of the two questions. You should have spoken up before. Go ahead.
This was from Devimurti Mataji. What kind of rasa does Kolovich, Sridhar and Lord Chaitanya have? Their exchange of bargain is so sweet. Not sure of what kind of rasa they have.
Well, I've not read anything by our acharyas to say what kind of rasa. It's a servitor rasa for sure. It's not madhurya or vatsalya rasa. So a servitor rasa. And it seems like there's something of a mix of friendship, at least the friendship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu towards Sridhar. But from Sridhar to Mahaprabhu, primarily dasya. Next.
From Amara Mataji. For those who take shelter when in difficulty, but becomes complacent when the difficulty is gone, what is the hope and how can they be guided towards genuine shelter taking?
Well, Krishna is very kind. He'll give you another difficulty. Hope for another difficulty. That's Queen Kunti, right? But she's not just like complacent and gets distracted because things are nice. But she understands when the devotee takes deeper shelter, perhaps prompted by some difficulty. Certainly she and the Pandavas her sons were put into enormous difficulty, and Krishna was always there. Krishna was always there, and Krishna was always there. It wasn't that he wasn't there when there wasn't difficulty. There's a very nice expression, a fairly celebrated expression in 7th Canto Bhagavatam, where Narada Muni says to Yudhisthira, you Pandavas are so fortunate because Krishna is always residing in your home. No, he wasn't, because he was in Dwarka much of the time, but because of intimacy, Krishna was with them, and they felt Krishna's presence. So it wasn't only in difficulty. So become an elevated person, whatever it takes to become an elevated person, and Krishna's with you. And if it takes some ordeal, then fantastic. Let the ordeals come. Whatever it is, that's what these great devotees are saying in the Mahaprakash Leela. Please let me always be in your association. Give me the opportunity to be a dog in the home of your devotee. They're not wishing to become a dog, but whatever it is, the association of you and your devotees. So that abject humility is a characteristic of one who has Krishna's association, because I'm looking up and you're everything, like that. Humility increases with advancement. Where did he go? Back. Okay. Humility, right?